that before you proceed any farther. On the top lid, we're going to take the cylinder and piston off so that we can replace it. In order to do so, you need to make both of these tighter, pull these springs in so that you can get a socket onto this bolt that's right here. And then you can take that bolt out. Oops, doesn't feel like I'm on it all the way. There we go. Got that bolt out, and then this one. And then on the flip side of the top lid, you'll see 4 bolts which hold the actual cylinder on. So take those 4 bolts out of the other side, and then your cylinder will come off with the piston inside. In some circumstances, you will be able to reuse your cylinder and your piston depending on the condition. You can put some air pressure in this hole on the bottom of your piston, and it'll drive the piston out of the cylinder. When you do that, your piston could really go flying across the shop, so be really careful about what direction you're pointing that piston in. However, mine has water in the system and it rusted the piston into the cylinder. When I put air pressure in there, the piston does not move at all. So therefore, I need to install both a new cylinder as well as a new piston. In addition to that, also my cylinder is grooved, and if yours is grooved, you'll need to replace it as well. Sometimes people will try to hone it, and if it's not horrible, you could probably get away with that, but if it's significantly grooved, you do need to purchase a new cylinder for your piston. The new piston comes, and you do have to put the rings on yourself. There is a dot on the piston rings as usual, and that dot goes up towards the top. You can put your 3 piston rings around there, and they just rest inside the groove just like that. And then your piston is ready to come into your cylinder. You can use a compression sleeve like this one, tighten it up, and then it'll go all the way in for you. Set that in there. Okay. Take that off. Go. I have my surface clean, my old O-ring is removed. I'm going to pop a new O-ring in the center. There's no gasket, just the O-ring underneath this cylinder. You can see that I used a tool like this one to remove the studs from the old cylinder and reuse them on my new cylinder here. You can see that they're all installed. So now I'm ready to drop this down just like that. Wiggle it on there just so. Here we go. And that slides in there, and I'm going to turn this the appropriate way, drive my bar through here, and that'll be held into place, and I'll tighten up all of my bolts. It's time to make an adjustment to the up and down on your top lid. You make this adjustment when this lever is pointed right at the arrow between the 2 dots, which you'll see casted in there, and then this one should be at fast. When those are in position, you can come up here to these levers. You want to loosen up this eccentric here just enough so that you can move your levers as you want to. Make sure that both of these levers are together. They're parallel and matched like mine are. And then you want just about 1/8 inch of spring play as I have shown here. If your levers are out of adjustment, you move the 2 nuts that are on the end of here either forward and back to change that spring there if you need your lever to go forward or back. Once you have that adjustment made, you can tighten up this nut at the bottom. You want this washer that is behind here to touch this part. Now it's tricky because when you tighten it up, it kind of pulls and it could push your bottom piece here. You don't want to push it, you just want it tight enough while it touches. See, when I do that, it pushes. So let me push that back and tighten that up just like that. Okay, my nut's tight. My washer is just touching, not pushing, and both of my levers are in sync here. So now we're ready to drop this top lid onto the tractor. Notice that I have my surface cleaned up here, and the surface is cleaned up on the tractor as well, so we're ready to put a new gasket into place. I'm going to use the cherry picker and drop it onto the tractor. When I drop it on, I got to make sure that both of these are on the correct end of the roller, which we'll show you, but I want to mention that while it's out of the tractor and you can see a little bit better, not separate, together when they go onto the tractor. Ready to drop my top lid down. I've got it hooked up to the cherry picker here. Go ahead. Notice that I do have my tube in place here with new O-rings on it. all the oil for the system flows through that tube, and sometimes they'll get cracked or broken if it freezes in the Michigan winter or another cold weather winter. So you gotta be careful. And then also it's really fragile.